Okay, so I figured now would be a good time for me to talk a little bit about where I've been and what I've been doing for the past couple days. If anyone has been following my Facebook and Instagram posts since Tuesday, since Tuesday, then you've maybe pieced together some things about international travel, pictures of a recording studio, things of that nature. So I'm going to shed a little bit of light on how those pieces come together. I can't say a whole lot. I'm going to try to keep this brief so that way it's not, a billion hours long, because there's a lot to talk about here, but I want to make sure that it's, something easily digestible, that you don't have to spend your whole afternoon watching. And I'm also not entirely sure exactly how much I'm allowed to say about what's been going on anyway. So I apologize in advance if I'm being vague. But I have been in a city called Abbotsford, which is in British Columbia in Canada, about an hour away from Vancouver. And by the way, if my gaze is drifting over here to this part of the screen, it's because I have my phone propped up on the windowsill of my hotel room right now. I'm still here. I'll be flying back home tomorrow. But right outside of my view, I have this gorgeous view of the Cascade Mountains. I'll just turn my phone around so that way everybody can see it. And of course, there's also an interstate highway right there. So my ADHD brain is going to be a little bit distracted by all of the movement going on. So anyway, here in Abbotsford, there is a company called Musora, which is, they specialize in online resources for music education. They are kind of an umbrella company that manages a few different brands, a few different products. The main one that they're most recognized for is called Drumeo, which is an online learning platform for playing drums. They've also got Guitario, which is for guitar, Singio, which is for vocals, and then Piano, which is for keyboards. The Drumeo YouTube channel has gotten pretty popular because they have a lot of really cool videos where they'll get in addition to all their educational content, they'll get professional drummers to come in, and these are like big names. It's like Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Sugarfoot Moffat, who played with Michael Jackson, and Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater, and people like that will come in and they'll like feed them a song that they've never heard before in their life without a drum track, and give them, however many takes they need to come up with a drum track on their own and just play along to it, and then they get to listen back and see how different it is from the original. Really fun concept. I think all of the Musora brands have an online presence. It's a pretty significant online presence. Their YouTube channels altogether have, I think, about 5 million subscribers. I think they've got a couple million followers on Instagram. So it's a pretty big brand. It's a pretty big deal. And they're working on a series right now that I don't think I can say too much about what it actually is, but I was very fortunate to get to be a part of it. I've been out here filming I haven't been filming for the past 3 days, but there has been filming going on the past 3 days. I was in the studio all day yesterday, which is when we did our actual recording for the real product that's going to go along with this. There will be, there's a lot of stuff. There's a documentary series that's going to go along with it. There is a fully produced actual song that's going to go out on streaming services. It'll go on Spotify and stuff like that. There's going to be a music video that'll go along with it. And it's pretty exciting stuff. Right now, there's 2 groups of people that they're filming. So there's my band and there's another band. And these are all Musora students that they just watched applications for and just kind of threw together. I didn't throw them together. They were methodical about their selection process. But the point is that we all met each other for the first time this week. I flew out here on Tuesday, right? Yeah, I flew out here on Tuesday after traveling all day. I woke up at 6:30, something like that, Eastern Standard Time from Raleigh. Flew out of RDU and finally got to my hotel room here on the West Coast at 11:30 that night, which would have been 2:30 Eastern Standard. So that was a very long day. And this is after having been in New Orleans all weekend. So that was Friday, I flew out to New Orleans, got off the plane, got an email telling me what song we were doing, spent the weekend in New Orleans, flew back on Monday. Monday night, had to get ready for this trip. I got a little bit of time to prepare at home and learn the song, and then turned back around, flew out here on Tuesday. Wednesday evening, we filmed kind of our introductory sort of interviews, which was basically just restating a lot of the stuff that we said in our applications, things like our musical background and why we wanted to apply to be a part of this, and that kind of thing. But they also had some other questions that they asked as well, and all of that got filmed, and it's going to be a part of the final content that they put out. Then the next day, Thursday, they filmed the other group, and they recorded the other group doing their thing in the studio, and then yesterday they had mine. It's people from all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of musical backgrounds, different walks of life, different age groups. The drummer for the band, the other one, not mine, but the other drummer was like a 14-year-old kid who has been playing since he was 3. Apparently he's very good. I didn't get to hear him myself, but apparently he absolutely killed it. And the keyboard player that I was working with in my band, who also happened to be from North Carolina, was 78 and has only been playing for like a year or two, and had never performed music at all for another human being until she got into the recording studio. Nobody else had ever heard her play. So you have very young, very old. I would say most of the people were around my age-ish, maybe a little bit older. But there was also a pretty wide range of experience levels. The bass player for the other band, he was the first one that I met. I just kind of happened to run into him at the hotel, and we got to talking, and he's been playing bass for about as long as I've been playing guitar, which is like 17 years at this point, I think. And he was a couple years older than me. 33, I think he said he was. So, kind of a mix. You've got some very experienced musicians, you've got some very inexperienced musicians, you have very young, you've got very old, and you've got everything in between. So I'm not really exactly sure what they saw in my application specifically that appealed to them. I don't know if they thought I was good on camera. I don't know if they were like, we're looking for someone who knows what they're doing, and this guy seems like he knows what he's doing. Or what it was. But I had to film a whole application video. They gave me a list of questions to answer, and I had to do a performance of a song that I was working on, which I did. I was lucky that I had a demo of an original that I wrote with Mike Santos, who is, of course, the lyricist and bass player that I've been working with for a really long time. Been best friends with since college, for anyone who doesn't know him. Oh gosh, where was I going with this? Yeah, I'll make sure that video gets, it's uploaded to YouTube. It's unlisted, so only someone with the link can see it, but I'll make that public farther out once the content actually starts getting published. So that way anybody that stumbles across it and is like, how did these people get selected for it? Then they can go to my video and at least see my part of it. But it's been a wild experience. And now that it's over, I'm just kind of left like waiting. So I felt I'd take this opportunity to just kind of, I don't know, journal my thoughts. Vlogging is kind of not really my thing. I've never done this before, but I don't know. I feel, now that I'm done with it, the exciting part's over. I feel very ready to go home, very ready to go back to my normal life. I happen to be on spring break from school right now. Fortunately, the school that I teach at is a year-round school, so we get like 2.5 weeks off for spring break. And we're about 2 weeks into that 2.5 weeks. And basically since that break started, I have been just kind of on the road. I went home to see my family for Easter for a few days, and then came back and had like 2 days to prepare for the New Orleans trip. And then immediately after I got back from that, then I had to be out here. So it's been, in the past 2 weeks, I have had maybe 4 nights in my own bed, something like that. It's been wild, and I've been in 3 different time zones and just all over the place this week. And I'm ready to go back and sleep in my own bed and eat at my favorite restaurants and sit on the couch and play video games and just like not do anything. It's going to be weird going back to doctor's appointments and teacher work days next week, but it's just kind of what you do, I suppose. Um, and hopefully the content that we put together will be good. Everyone at Musora was really really nice. They were very accommodating. They were very gracious. They paid for all of our flights out here. They paid for our hotel rooms. They fed us while we were at least at their offices and at their studios doing working with them. When we weren't, we were kind of on our own. Um, yeah, they're really really cool. I hope I get another opportunity to come back out here. I would love to be a part of their Guitario product of that brand. And now that I've done some work with them, then hopefully, they like me enough to have me come back out here again and do stuff for them. Um, if not, obviously that's okay too. It's great to just kind of have the experience. Um, yeah, as far as the actual music that we worked on though today, not today, yesterday, I can't say what song it was. I can't say what the artist is. I can say that it's definitely not something that I was used to playing. It's kind of a singer-songwriter adult contemporary style, so not particularly challenging, just not the kind of stuff that I normally play and that I normally gravitate towards listening to either. Um, but the producer was really cool with just kind of letting us interject our own personality into it. He had some things that he cooked up that we got to change it around a little bit. It's not a drastically different recording, but it definitely does sound like us. It's a little bit more higher energy, rock oriented. Um, he wasn't really a fan of the way the original song was kind of put together exactly in terms of the energy level and things like that. So we got to make some changes. Um, he let me cook a little bit on some guitar stuff, which is always fun. It's one of those songs where there is a guitar solo in it, but it's just kind of restating the vocal melody, and it's not like super exciting. And so he was like, "Hey, do your thing. Like, give me one that's like faithful-ish to the original," which I did. And then he was like, "Okay, now just go, just have fun and just play." And so I gave him 5 or 6 takes of me just doing my thing. And only one of them sounded good because that's just how it goes. Um, so that's kind of my experience on my end. It's really interesting to see how different people respond to these environments too. Um, I mentioned that the keyboardist that I played with, who had never played in front of another person before, she was very her story's so interesting, and I hope they got footage of her talking about like her background and stuff. Like she was one of the first. She actually was the first female reporter to work for WRAL, like I don't know however many years ago, which was super cool. And she said that like she's 78 years old or something like that, and she has an adopted daughter who is like in her 60s. When she was a young adult, she adopted like a high school girl, um, which was really really interesting. Um, and just all this other stuff. She's like a yoga instructor and a Reiki master. So our singer got kind of like really inside of her own head and started having some anxiety about performing, and she did a lot to help her like calm down and stuff like that. Um, yeah, it's man, there was a lot that happened. It was a wild experience. I just kind of went into it though with the attitude of it being just like another day at the office, because I think in order to get the best product, you kind of can't get too inside your own head about it. And I record myself a lot at home, and I was recorded by other people in college. We had a recording studio in the basement of Hill Hall, the music building on Carolina's campus, that was student run. It was called Vinyl Records, and that was where I mentioned my friend Mike earlier, and then Reggie, one of our other best friends, our drummer. That was where we kind of like started to really learn how to gel, and then other friends of ours, of course, that were involved in our musical endeavors here and there. That was our like main rehearsal space. We recorded in there, not just our own music, but we were there when other people were recording. We took a rock lab class there where it was essentially like the college course was basically just doing this, where you just sign up for the class and you get to be a band with people you've never met before, but it lasts for a semester and you have songs you have to learn and you get to write an original and there's a performance at the end. So it's very much like what we had to do here. Well, this was not a new experience for me in terms of like just the core concept as a whole. My first time being filmed, that was interesting. The like sitting and talking to a camera where you're like being asked specific questions off the spot and you have to come up with answers, that was kind of tough for me, especially when you want to keep it kind of brief, because I feel like I definitely left some things out. I left a lot of things out in retrospect now that I think about it. But just getting into the studio and just playing, it was, that's the fun part, right? But you've got others that were just absolutely terrified of it. And I don't know how much of this will come through in the actual content that gets put out, but our singer, her name's Nimiwari, and she was fantastic. She does a lot of Twitch streaming, and she does live performances. She sings at weddings, and she does give concerts and stuff like that. She's from Alabama, and she's also Nigerian, so like a dual. I think she said she grew up between both places. Anyway, she, like I said, was getting just like real anxiety about it. And once some of the people around us worked with her, they had the Musora instructors came in and sat with us and coached us through, and that was cool. Some of those moments I think they got filmed and recorded, and some of those I think will go as a part of the content. And so the vocal coaches helped her out, and there's a really cool moment where they put Nimiwari in the studio in the booth and say, all right, we're going to let you warm up now. And they click record. They don't tell her the red light's on. They just play the track and let her sing, and she just kills it. I mean, she sounds like Aretha Franklin. And then after they were done, they were like, okay, that was great. We recorded you. We want to record another one. Just do that again. And then they did, and she did. And that was it. That's what you're going to hear. That's what you're going to see. She was in there for like 10 minutes. She did 2 takes, and they both sounded flawless. There's a lot of things that happen that I can talk about. I can't say a whole lot. I can't say too much. Because I don't want to, step on any toes or spoil any content for anybody. But I'm very glad to be here. I want to go home now. I'm ready to be back home. But it's been a great experience, and I don't even know what else there is to say, so I'm just going to stop talking. If you made it this far into the video, I didn't realize this was going to end up being 18 and a half minutes long. So thank you for sticking around to watch. I'll post, I guess, more updates as the content actually starts rolling out. I did forget to mention that. They told us it'll probably be ready in like June-ish. So it'll be a couple months before there's any kind of like anything substantial to watch, or listen to, but there will be some promo stuff I think that'll come out. They've got little teaser trailers and video clips and photographs and things like that they'll do that be on the lookout for. So if you've stuck around this long, then thank you for watching.